name is Sue Dela. Now, not something
With
Dela.
the 2 L's or 1 L?
It's
D-E-L-A?
Suedela. Sue Dela. Not Dela or nothing fancy, just plain old Sue. And I was born June the 13th in 19 and do I have to say it? 18.
Oh, it seems so long time ago.
Now, you know that's going to be wonderful. I can just praise the Lord for letting me live all 70 years this year. Won't that be wonderful?
Get up,
be
close.
7.
Oh,
I
don't
want
that
to get in. Get up.
Gaynell, don't that sound a whole don't it? It does.
Okay.
Now.
Is that good? Is
And
that,
I'm not worrying about it much, but in a way, now you just think it won't take me but 30 to be 100. Woo!
let's see.
I'm over half a 100. I'm almost
Well, Mildred's
100.
already half 100. I believe it upset
Oh,
me
yeah,
more when I was 50.
Yeah, and
but it's, that goes right across your
That-
face.
oh, okay. Okay.
How about this?
Yeah,
Get all of me. Why not get all
Well,
of
whenever
me?
the first time I saw 50, when I wrote down that I was 50, and it was on up in the year,
You felt kind of,
that it is a half of 100, a whole lot worse than 64.
But you know what? That never did bother me. I'll be honest with you. Up even, and I was proud to say I was 65. You know, to me, because that's retirement age, and I was proud of it. But this year, I don't know what made it.
You get real close.
I didn't know what. I didn't know what made it, but last year, after my birthday, they'd be times that, now I'm not really worried about being old like some people now and are ashamed of my age. I'm
At
not.
least you ain't gonna tell us.
No, if I did, now this is what God.
I don't ever worry
You
about
know, this is what I thought.
You don't have to.
I'm
you're
gonna
old.
be. But see, I'm 69 now. The next birthday will be 70.
7
And that's gonna sound up, and I ain't got much longer here on this earth. I'm just time's running out,
Well, you can laugh
and
about
I don't.
it
But
anyway.
see, I don't feel like time's running out. I feel like I'm 35. I believe they've added 35 years old to me.
You are enjoying life.
But
and
you
that's
know what?
want to-
Zeno made me. I told someone. I said I count that the greatest compliment I've ever had paid to me. Zeno Smith don't pay compliments to very many people. I mean, and he don't do it unless he means it.
Yeah.
But it was so sweet. He said it in the sweetest. The way he said it, it was just so sweet. He said, "Well, I'm going to tell you something." Said nobody would never know it. Said you just be proud. If anybody can grow old and get about the way you do, be proud of it. And that made me feel good. I said, well, thank goodness somebody's going to.
Well, let me tell how old I am.
Yeah,
Don't get there. You were just a
I'm
baby.
Alpha County now, not where it shows.
No,
Y'all
it-
get it
it's-
straight.
hey,
'Cause I
don't listen.
wasn't there, so I don't know. I have to
Now
depend
listen,
on
Gaynell,
them.
you
Tell
wasn't
me
born
where-
between what I was going about. You was going between Honey Path and you said Abbeville, and that's on a different highway. You was born
Well,
between
that
Honey
was
Path
probably
and
before you
Ware
carried me
Show.
over there.
No, it might have been.
Donald's and
No.
that's where Donald?
No, it's
No.
down to Ware Show,
Show.
between Honey Path and Ware Show.
Okay.
Right, now keep
My name is. I gotta get a close up face.
Hey, Gaynell.
Oh, now you make me blush.
She's from the
My
flapper
name
days.
Is Gaynell Nettie Hanvey Ball, Ball. And I was born March the 9th. Now just listen to this. It's not far behind you. 1924. And I was born between Honey Path and Ware Shows.
Oh,
But it was in Abbeville County.
Right.
And Sue carried me down to see where I was born. And I don't see how Mama and Daddy and the, 6 that's older than me, or how many's older than me?
Ruth, Carl, that's it. Ruth, Carl, me, and JT and Edith.
So there's 5 above me with 6 children.
It was packed up, fine.
it was just a small house, but that wasn't unusual back in those days, and people just had children in houses, I guess.
We was poor.
No, we wasn't poor. We were poor. No, we were rich.
Right, we was rich in love.
We were rich.
Right.
And
I'm kidding.
I have a paper at the house that I want to get framed sometimes, and it's at the back of an envelope that Mama wrote. It was my birthday, March the 9th, and she was telling me about somebody coming to her house. I don't remember if I thought about it. I brought this morning, but I want that fixed where it could be handed down in the generations. Where Mama wrote about what happened, some of the things that happened that night.
That you
I
were
was
born?
And she said that was
Sister,
Brother Cole,
was it
Pepper?
Sister Broom that come?
Sister Broom, she's a doctor.
Yeah, she is. She was
Yeah,
a.
I had a doctor.
She
That's why.
she was a
You had a
midwife.
doctor?
She was a
I
midwife.
thought I was
No,
no,
she
she
was
was
a
a doctor.
Well, she
She
was,
was
but
on my-
well, see, that's what they called her. She was a doctor, but they called her midwife. And she come and stay. She just loved Mama and them so good that she would come
I
lots of
heard
times and stay
Brother
about a
Sister
month
Broom,
before the babies
Well,
would be
she
born.
was.
Well, I
Well,
remember
now,
her.
now Daddy had to go get her that night and bring her in the wagon.
Yeah, because it was
and
before.
he picked up this brother and brought him there, and they were in the same room where Mama was, where the fire was, where she was having me. And Sister Broom kept saying, just go ahead, just go ahead and be quiet, and we'll do it by ourselves, and just let them sit up there and talk.
Yeah.
That's the way I came into the world.
Wasn't that
I
wonderful?
thought that was the way Velma was. I thought, did Daddy have somebody there when Velma died?
No, it was
I mean,
when-
Velma was born?
No, that's when I was born. Oh my goodness! This morning and every morning, if I get up and I have my
I was
dining
trying
room
to
light,
think where it was
dining room
Velma.
light on, Velma comes. She goes to work 5:45, I reckon, and she toots at home.
I
She
know, I
says
got
she
a
does.
call.
I just
She
cries.
is
She
pretty.
says she cries when she's going.
Yes,
I
got a call.
She wants to be one of us. So.
I want her to come up here, and I'm gonna call her and tell her to come up here, because I want everybody, to
Yeah.
talk, so we can kind of remember some of the things.
Well, well, you know.
Do you remember what happened when you was born that morning, that
No.
day that you was
But
born?
you know, Mama, see, a doctor did deliver me, a man doctor. It wasn't a woman. It was a man doctor that come
And you a Georgia cracker.
and I was born.
No
Mama
wonder
and them.
no wonder you're so weird.
Dear, that's it.
Well, I
That's
didn't
the
know
reason
That
I'm
might be, they
different.
might have the wrong age on
I
her.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I believe
know.
they did. I believe I was born after y'all.
I didn't know. See, I didn't know this woman, anything about this woman, till I got my birth certificate, and then I started asking Mama about it, and it had on there that Daddy was a farmer, I believe, and textile worker.
Yeah.
And he was both, and Mama was a minister of the gospel.
Well,
And she was, Mama was 27 when I was born.
Well, now, I'm not a boy or a girl. I'm a burl. If you don't
Well,
believe
see,
it,
I thought you was different. But no, where
well,
was
I
Velma born?
didn't notice it till.
I used to
McCall?
remember.
Yeah, McCall. I'm pretty sure Velma was born in McCall.
Well, let me
No,
see.
let's see, no, Grace was born at
Bunker Hill. Yeah, now I
And-
remember.
Now, I
Grace.
remember living in McCall.
Velma.
You must have been born at Dillon.
Don't you know?
Because I remember McCall. That's the first place that I
yeah.
really remember.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I
And
remember.
then not that, how much
We lived at
y'all age?
McCall, one place where they had a wood yard, you know, and
Yeah,
had
that's
two
where I remember.
see,
Was
China
that
berry
the only
trees.
time we ever, that's where
No,
the
we
flood
lived
came up.
when we first got but when we first moved there, we lived behind where the church was at, over on the other side of
Well,
the
I
railroad.
don't remember nothing about a church.
Well,
I don't remember the church
well,
or what
see,
it
I-
was.
I-
Or going
I
to church or
remember
nothing.
that.
But
You're
I
too
remember
little.
brother.
Yeah.
I remember brother Otis Smith came and ran a revival,
Yeah.
and he got me a little nigger doll for Christmas. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a special place in my heart for him. But
Yeah,
now,
so that's-
what I would like to know is, I know.
Is he still living?
No, he
Oh.
died. Didn't he?
I don't think
Well,
he's
those
passed away, or he may have, but I saw him, it ain't been just when I was going to Dr. Tucker, he was down there.
But now,
My brother
what-
Otis might be dead now. I ain't
I'm
heard
trying to
Sister
think
Linda
about-
say.
Let's see. Grace was born at Bunker Hill.
Yeah.
Bunker Hill. And I don't know, Velma must have been born at Dillon.
I'm trying
Because
to,
I can't remember nothing about Dylan.
well, now Dillon, we lived and we lived on a street. Only time I remember living in down there in Dillon, and there was this big old thing, kind of like a gin, or
Well, I thought that was Bunker
A
Hill.
cotton
no,
gin.
no, now that was out in the country. We didn't live there, but this was a great big old building, kind of like. Then it seemed as big as Mills. Look up there in Belton. But they didn't use it. It was right because we used to play out there.
I know Ruth used to go up there and put her shoe down to it. Now I remember that.
Yeah, but now it was, yeah.
Well, where did we live where the kitchen was separated from the
That
house?
was Bunker Hill.
Bunker Hill.
That's
Well, see,
where
I-
Roger died.
That's where.
Hey, that's where Carl got scared of, and he.
got
Carl,
that picture of
Mom and them
Carl.
went to church and we had a lamp. We had a lamp, and on that door, it was in their bedroom. The window was up there. It had window panes, but it had it wasn't like
Oh, I
fancy
know
shows.
shutter.
It was just plain, and it was
Open.
one big old thing that come over and covered the whole window.
It probably was the only window until they put glasses.
Well,
in.
and so Carl, we was there, Mom and them gone to church, and he was going to show us how brave he was, and he was doing so. I don't know what it was, but anyway, he jumped out the window. It wasn't very high, off the ground. And he had the lamp now, and jumped out the window, and went running down, and across, and here's the road, and over there was a patch of woods. And, not big, densey woods, but there was some woods across over there. And he jumped and he got out there and he got scared because it blowed the lamp out when he jumped out. And we had to, he was hollering and all of us ganged up, me and the rest, we went down there to bring him back across the road. And that's the place where we lined up. He was
Is that Bunker Hill?
That's Bunker Hill,
Well,
and
that's
that's where
Bunker
they
Hill and
come.
Dela.
That's where Carl went out and built a fire in the stove, and then people brought us some groceries.
See, I don't remember, because one day I was telling somebody that, and he said, now Gaynell, you're telling it just exactly like it happened, but said, it's impossible.
Yeah,
Said you
yeah.
couldn't remember that. That's what Carl said.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
reckon
because
if we
we've
told,
heard it.
we've
Mama's
been
told
told.
it. Well, and they told it in the pulpit too.
Yeah, it's
So
been
much out
told.
there.
And Carl told me that he said, now you telling it, that's exactly
Yeah, and
what
I'm gonna tell you,
happened.
because I remember that night. This is what we had in a lot of songs that ain't told. Of course, it's gonna be told now, because
Well,
see,
that's
they
what
were
we
tales
That's
all.
what we need.
But Brother Whittington's, some of their people, I'm not going to say where it was his sister or where it was his brother, but some of their people lived up this road. It was, they had straight roads down there, but it was open, and they lived in kind of a big house up there, right
They must
off
be
from
kinda
the
rich.
main road.
They must be
They
kinda
probably
rich.
got a check every week.
Well, they probably had
job.
good farmers.
Yeah,
Good, they probably had the the
A business.
tobacco crops
Yes.
down there, because there was tobacco in
Yeah,
that country there. And well, that night before that, Mama had cooked what all that she had that day, and that night there was some cornbread left from dinner. And those Whittingtons up there, I believe they were Whittingtons, but it was some of Brother Whittington's people, brought a batch of fresh green onions down there. And that's what we eat for supper,
Cornbread
and onions. And we eat that.
Did you have any milk?
No, we didn't have no milk that night. And because see, we never did stay a place very much
Well, Mama
long
used to keep
enough.
cow. They
Well,
used
we
to keep
did
cow
if
later.
we stayed long enough for them to have one. But see, we hadn't been down there all that long then. And when this happened, because see, that was before the church people know Mom and them all that good. Because when they brought them groceries, this man said, Sister Hanvey said, my wife couldn't sleep, and she had him out early that morning getting stuff, because said, Brother Hanvey, they was a good many kids, and they hadn't give us no money and hadn't give us nothing, and we just moved from up here down there. And but now Mama said she didn't say. Mama didn't tell us that that there wasn't nothing else in there. Well, we was satisfied. We eat what Mama fixed for
That's
us. We eat it and didn't ask no questions. If we didn't like it, we
If there
just
wasn't no more
nibbled
on
over
the
it.
table, we knew there
We,
wasn't no
well,
more.
we know it was gone.
Yeah.
Well, and so the next morning, just like Carl understood, well, I didn't pay. I really
How old
don't
were you?
remember. I really don't remember how old I was down there. I mean, when it
You
comes
don't
to
know
the
what, we
age.
don't know what
That was-
year, do we?
See, that was, I was born, but I don't.
Yeah,
If it was
it was
Dela.
a long, it was before, when was Grace born? But see, it was before
I'm
she
just
was
3
born.
years.
I ought to call Grace and tell her.
I'm just 3 years older
Yeah,
than she
she could
is.
remember some of,
So
I
she
mean,
was born
like
in
for that.
27, wasn't she?
Yeah,
She
I
would
think
remember
so.
things now. Y'all will remember things that Mama has told y'all probably
1927.
better than I can, because I'm a type of a person, I'm interested in it, you know, and just like now, I'm interested in things now, and I think, well, what a fool I've been. There's so many interesting things that I had access to that I could have kept, that would, so many people would be proud of. But to me, I live one day, you know, today's here and tomorrow, if it comes, okay, so what, that, you know, kind of that attitude. I'm no fool.
You heard you got that, didn't you?
You was few as hell.
Yeah, I'm no fool, but
Enjoy life.
I am
Well, some
no,
people
see,
hang on to
I'm kindly short up here. I mean, I don't care about delving down into the depths of things.
She don't
Oh,
want to study,
that-
concentrate
On
on
history
Yeah.
things. Like, I mean, like going back to, just like Druce and them said yesterday, they talking about the Lord coming, and they said something about it, and she said, well, I wonder if little babies will be little babies in heaven. I said, well, what does it matter? I mean, now that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sure. I
But
don't
some
care
people-
about knowing the where, what, when, and how come.
Well, you know what? Sometimes
is
we
important.
sometimes we think things like that, but we don't say it.
That's
But
right.
other people says it.
Brings it
And
and
they
asks
try to analyze it
and they get too
justify
deep.
it
Yeah,
or-
get too deep.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm like this, just like
I
I,
don't want to
said.
get too deep because
They some, well,
water's not too
they
deep.
they some of these things though that I know we would love to have, because it's
Well, now
it's
that
important.
night that you had those, y'all had, well,
The
we had
onions.
onions. I guess I was.
Yeah, well, now we
I
went to
should've
bed
said
and went to
the
sleep.
menu.
But see, Mama
She
did
was
not wake us up. She said she was gonna let us sleep as long as we could, because she knew she didn't have anything fixed for breakfast, and that was what we usually. Some of the little smaller ones that could walk would go to Mama's bed, and Mama get up. I'm hungry, and Mama liked to lay in the bed. She just didn't get a chance to do it, but she loved to lay in the bed. And she said, well, she couldn't take that when they'd want to get up, and said she knew she didn't have it. She was just thinking, but for some reason we slept, all of us except Carl. And he went out there and built that fire. And I was telling some of that, I said, you know, some people talk about that. I said, and when they tell that, I said, I know what it's like, because I remember, we was so proud when that car, I never will forget, it was a car that had a touring car at the top, and they had the top back. And it was just piled
And you didn't
up
get
with groceries.
embarrassed. You know, now
No,
people say that
but-
would embarrass me for them to bring groceries to us.
Well, see,
But
we
it
was
never,
the
I
preacher.
said, we were all
This is what I told.
people that
Praise
says
the
it.
Lord.
You
Well,
know what?
you know what? People that says that has never been
Really?
hungry, so you needed it.
Well,
That's
I
the
tell you,
reason.
they've never been preacher's kids. And if it's some preacher's kids, they was always at a church that had a parsonage, or they got a salary. Mom and them didn't get a salary. It was in the pioneer days.
Mama
It
and
wasn't in these
Where
days.
they were sent, they didn't go for the money.
They didn't go for the
was a
money.
call.
And they considered, they always considered, if the state overseer, they had prayed about it, and the state overseer prayed about it, and wherever they
That's where
sent,
God wanted
that's
them.
where
That's
they
where they
went.
went.
And they would. Mama said she didn't want her praise this year. She wanted when
Uh-uh.
she got to heaven.
She said, God called me to preach, and that's all I know to do. I obeyed the Lord because I wanted to go to heaven. And another thing, Mom and Daddy did not say, all right, here's little Mildred. She's barefooted. She needs a pair of shoes. Or now, yeah, somebody's going to have to come across because we ain't got no food in the house.
Or
They didn't do
wear
that.
I heard. I don't remember who it was, but they said they always wore their worst suit
Thing
when they went to a revival.
to get somebody to give them. Now,
So
we
they
didn't do
just-
that.
Yeah, and
We didn't
if
do
they
that.
needed tires, I don't know who told me this,
I've heard.
but
of
and they would wear.
it. I remember.
They would drive. If they needed tires, they would wait. Even if they could get the tires, they'd wait till after the next revival, and hoping that they would,
Well,
that the preacher could use them.
And one thing
But
I
I
want to
don't
say
know.
about us
Right.
not being, when people gave us stuff, us not feeling ashamed, because we were brought up, we heard Mama and those pray for it, and we
Yeah.
probably prayed for ourselves. And when people brought it,
It was the Lord.
was providing for us.
For us,
That we don't have to right then we didn't have the money, but God still looked after
And
us.
look how he's prosperous now.
And
we
Mama
don't,
was
none
able
of,
to
we never
leave
did
every
go
one of us some
negative.
money.
That's right. And so,
And who would have ever thought that the hard times that Mama had,
but
like she ever thought that she'd be able to leave us some money and there was no hard feelings.
no.
Sure.
Did you know what though? Another thing, too, though. At that time, see now when we think back, because of the thing and the way churches are now, and the things
They
that
spoil.
people have,
Yeah.
until and at that time,
Nobody
other
had a
people,
lot.
other
Yeah.
people.
Well,
She just always said that. She said everybody was poor back
Yeah,
then.
well, I thought they did. I thought
never
everybody
did know-
lived like we
yeah,
did.
There's very few people that we knew that
Didn't have
had
any
that
more.
had a lot more.
And
than
I'm gonna
us.
tell you,
some of them had
Granny
a little
Lois-
bit more, but not most of the time.
I've
they
got a film that Audrey come over there and made of my young at hearts, and Granny Lois was there. And and I told her, and Granny Lois was just loving him, and Geraldine and them was taking a picture of her, and it was real cold, and she had on a pair of warm-up pants under her dress, down to keep her legs warm. And I went to pick her up, or somebody brought her over there, and they just told her to come on like she was, because it was so cold. And she was ashamed, they told her not to be ashamed. But you know what, Granny Lois, some people didn't really care about having 4, 5, or 6, 7 kids, having a preacher and that many. But Granny Lois never minded. That was one place we could go, because she'd pile us up on pallets or whatever with Ruby and them, and she didn't mind doing it, because they loved holiness and loved Mama and them's preaching. Huh?
Even if we did catch life.
Yeah, I know that.
Gaynell said even if we did catch life,
That
there
was-
was
well,
That's the worst
every
place.
time you know what, it's starting back now. Where kids get stuff like
Everywhere.
that.
I've
Every
heard that
time.
from people that's got kids in
Yeah,
school.
now it's
Every time we went to Honey Pack, we caught. But so when Roy was a baby and I come down there and stay with you and
Yeah.
bring him over there and let him nurse
Yeah,
Nene,
yeah.
and you come out of that hot meal and
Yeah.
sit on them steps and, give him.
and
well,
we'd look at
well, oh yeah, but that
Is
little
that the
girl,
same
Jesse-
thing as
Jesse
Kitty?
Granny.
and
Is that the same thing as Titty?
Nene,
Yeah.
and Jesse.
Really, I said that.
You know what? And one day I went down there and you could see them crawling down her neck.
I know. Yeah.
But every time we went to Honey Pack, Mama always had to
They
put
get-
lots
and
of her
all-
lotion
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's what she
a fine comb,
Yeah.
and she would say the whole time she'd say,
Let
"It
me
ain't no
say.
disgrace to get them, but it's a disgrace
That's
to
the
keep
key
'em.
word.
It ain't no disgrace to get
I'll
'em."
tell you, I was telling them over there, and Brother and Sister Marcus is our new members that's moved from Charleston. And they are the sweetest thing. I was invited yesterday. I'm getting to be a very important person. Honey, I have got such a tight schedule, I can't hardly
Well,
come
now,
on.
now
I
since
went
you're
out to
a very
lunch
important person,
yesterday.
you're supposed to say a VIP.
I'm a VIP. I'm a VIP.
And that just makes it.
Right.
You should have made us an outline of what you want us to talk about, because we just.
But
jumped
you
right.
know, well, and I will tell you, I was telling them about. I said, now y'all don't know me, but I said I'm a preacher's kid, and and I said, and oh honey, I said. We as pioneers, I said, you hear my loony them? I said, y'all know I'm a senior citizen real good. I said, because they'll get up there and they'll say, now lots of you may not remember this, but Sue Dela does. And Sue Dela knows what we're talking about. And Brother King will say, Sister Sue knows,
Anybody's almost 70. You'll be 70 in June.
And
Well, so
yes.
Yeah, because this is, I got the date on there.
And so,
Let's go back to Dela.
well, all right,
Right,
let's tell
see,
them
now-
more. That's where we went when we moved, and they didn't, we was the pastors, well, they didn't say nothing about not wanting us. We went in, and they wasn't expecting, and when they first seen it, my daddy walked in, and we'd been riding and like going from Anderson to there, was like going to California almost then, because it was dirt roads and about all the way down there. And we had rode real naturally. Daddy got traded cars for a truck so we could move the furniture and all of us could go.
Like the Beverly.
Yeah, the Jed Clanfield bunch had arrived.
You're talking about my family.
And it's ours. You brought it
I
us
was
too.
there. That's what we
Oh boy, Kay.
We got 3 pieces of cake, so I'm gonna
we slept
thought Daddy was drunk.
And Daddy said, boy, I said he brought the springs and the mattress in and turned the pews around. He said, boy, I kept that heater hot all night.
He did for us,
He said, "I'll
say
burn
Lord.
it."
I'll tell you, they was practicing something or having prayer meeting, and Daddy went in. And when they got through, Daddy, introduced themselves, but they didn't say too much. But nobody didn't say nothing about, Branch said, but Sister Hanvey, the children's out there, but we didn't want to go in because we'd been riding, and Mom, so many of us. And so,
You're on the death of
yeah, that's right. Mama didn't even gonna put it on them gentle.
Look, be selling chicken.
And so Daddy, Daddy
Yeah, remember.
done that. Well, Daddy told him. He come out there and said, Nettie, we noticed everybody
the
going.
biggest.
Yeah, she's the oldest. I thought.
See now,
Go ahead.
today's the day I can eat anything I want because I don't weigh anything.
Okay, now come on, let's don't get off of that now.
Well,
Cause that.
Daddy, when he come out there, he said, Nettie, said, I don't think they're gonna ask us to come on. Mama said, well, just ask them to let us have the church. And said that'd be better anyway. And we can turn the benches together and make beds and we do that. So he come out there and boy, after Daddy told him we'd do that, Daddy said they looked like a relieved bunch and out the door they all went. Well, the next morning, see, Mama had what groceries we had when we left. So Mama made us some
Mama
fritters.
could always.
She got the
flour.
frying pan and she
Yeah.
stirred up and she made us fritters. And we
Daddy
had
said
syrup.
I kept that heater red hot all
It
night.
was, buddy. We stayed what we burnt. They didn't take us off with us, but we burnt their coal. And so the next morning, well, one of the sisters come out there and brought some bought something out there. And after that, they'd say, Sister Hanvey, y'all please don't tell nobody we done that. They was ashamed.
Mama
that
said they
did
cried
that.
when they
They
left.
did.
Well, now this is what I told. I may have said it wrong, but I used it for a good purpose. We were getting a blind preacher,
Uh-huh.
and in June, our woman preacher's been there 3 years, and we getting a blind preacher. And so,
Well,
and they were talking about it. Talking about what he couldn't do. I said, well, now I think we're gonna give him a chance. I said, I remember. I said the people didn't want Diana, and I said now they don't want her to go. I said I remember. I said I know of a time in my lifetime, and I said I don't know where it's been told to me or whether I remember it, but we went to a place and they didn't want us because there's so many children, and I said, but and I said my daddy, we had to sleep in the church. And I said, my daddy used a coat, but I said, I want you to know before we left there. I said, those people cried when we left.
and they'd say, please don't tell people we done that one.
Yeah.
But I used that to tell
I
them
told
about
him, I said, y'all can tell it by now. Y'all can tell by my sweet personality, we were lovable people. And that woman said, Sue, Sister Dot did, she said, Sue, why don't you write a book? I said, I wish I could. I said, I'll tell you one thing, if I could write a book, honey, it'd sell like hotcakes. We'd be rich. I said, we couldn't print them fast enough.
I didn't take it.
We couldn't
Sister
print them
Brock said
fast
she's
enough.
writing a book.
Well,
Sister Brock.
Well, we
Well,
couldn't
it's
print
the
them
way-
fast enough.
The way you get,
I guarantee
get
you.
right book. See, let Diana. She said, if you just write down anything and give it to me. I said, I put it together. I said, just, and I started it, and I said, well,
But-
I can't write no book. But she wanted me.
You don't have to. You just have to tell her. You just have to tell them what.
I would tell you what, but it would be a better book, more down to earth. You don't just give them things and let them, cause they'll add
Yeah,
words that'll
yeah.
make it be different. Now, cause you can tell, because now they did not, they had all the information on Mom and them, and you see how in them books it ain't like it was.
I need to get them books.
But Diana read some of that, and she said, Gaynell? I said, well, I could write 2 books. I
Oh,
could
you
write.
could?
When we were born, a way I was brought up as a Pentecostal child. That way.
Yeah.
How it was them and us in that day. And
This
then the
is
last
good.
18 years, me working with the Dela. Because
Yeah.
there's somebody told me one day, they said, Gaynell said, you've had to come through 2 pioneer in time. Said your mama was a pioneer, and I was a pioneer with the deaf. Because see, there wasn't hardly any interpreters in South Carolina when I
That's
started.
right.
And it's 18 years.
What are
Yeah,
y'all
that's
gonna tell me the night that I was born? Cause it
Let
happened
me
when
see.
Can you remember?
No, y'all have to get me started as to where, I don't even, right
I was
off
going
now.
to Belton at the parsonage.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
That was when
Yeah.
JD used to come see you.
Yeah,
And he'd
I
bring,
know.
bring
know
you
it.
bananas, cause you
I
love
know it.
bananas. He'd bring
Yeah.
us,
I always love
Yeah, I have. And,
And
grapes.
and he would bring us orange slices.
Uh-huh.
what the candy.
Orange slices. He'd bring us orange slices.
Mom must have marked me
And
by
when
that.
you,
See, Mom.
I tell you one thing happened when you were born. When you were born, you were just a little bitty baby. Well,
Honey, you
there
was
was a
pretty.
baby, there was
you
a child
pretty
born
girl.
on the Mildred there at Belton. And you may remember who it was. It seemed like Darby comes in. I don't know where it is at.